Good morning, Facebook.
Yeah, I think we made it on Facebook just in time. I just wanted to give it a second so they didn't have to see the thumbnail and they could see our faces this morning. Good morning, everyone.
Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. Mine was, wow, fast and furious. So still drinking coffee this morning.
Me too. All right. Good morning, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. This morning's topic is going to be pretty fun, Marketing Monday. We get this question all the time, and that is, what kind of Facebook group should I start? So they know they need to start a Facebook group, just like you might know you need to start a Facebook group, but you might have questions about what privacy level to pick, because you obviously want to reach the most people, but then you want to be careful about not getting a whole bunch of spam and junk in your group as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and then also share a little about what our YSP members are posting this week.
Exactly. So the Facebook, it's no secret, your Facebook group is one of the best ways to grow and have a community and a sense of, it's you control that space 100%. So if you can pull people into a group, you can sort of control the narrative there. So the types that you choose, oh my goodness. So I think the most well-known is going to be private, but we want to talk about the others just so, you have your options. So, and I'm trying to pull us up on Facebook so I can see the comments.
Well, yeah, I was about to try and share it. So while I'm doing that, if you know any small business owners who might want some free advice about what kind of Facebook group to start, public, closed, or private, share this video. We will really appreciate it.
Sharing is caring.
Let's see.
Morning, Heather. Morning, Tracy. Morning, Edith. And Sarah. I didn't say hello to Sarah earlier. And if you're catching this, Jessica may have just said this, but I was multitasking. So if you're catching this on replay, say hello and hashtag replay to let us know.
I have not said that yet.
All right, awesome. And if you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe so you'll be notified.
Excuse me, I'm allergic to Mondays.
And we do Marketing Monday to kick the marketing week off right. So sometimes we're coming in hot on Monday too. So
it's true. It's true because I usually start my morning about 9 o'clock, so that gives us just about an hour to prep.
Same. Aww. We're in different time zone.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the shares.
Yep. Perfect. All right. Facebook groups.
Yep. This one's a big one.
Whoops.
She's so popular. She can't help it. All right. So there are 3 types of Facebook groups. It's Monday. You guys are probably ready to get some value and just kind of roll on with your day. So we're not going to keep you too long, but 3 kinds of Facebook groups when it comes to privacy. And really, all you really have to determine is what you're trying to do with that group in order to make the best decision possible for what the privacy level should be there. So they go from public to closed to private. And in that order is the visibility of them on Facebook. It's also indicative of how easy it is for anyone and everyone to join. So a public group is just that. It is open to anybody on Facebook, and anybody can join without approval. That's the key. And the group's posts will show up in their news feed. So that can sound really appealing, especially if you're new to business and your goal is to build as big of a Facebook group as possible. You may feel compelled or drawn to set up your Facebook group as public, but there's a few things that we've seen as marketing experts and people who are helping lots of small business owners create their Facebook groups and communities that you might want to be aware of and just cautious of if you're thinking about doing a public Facebook group.
Exactly. We talk a lot about the algorithm and engagement and how well that does for any post. So your group is the same way. You hear a lot of people talking about reviving a group, bringing it back, or your page. You have to, have that engagement. So what happens is if you have a public group where anyone and everyone can join, number one, they can just join and then leave, and they're counted as a number for you, and they may not ever interact. So that is a problem with engagement. So, and showing other members your posts. So I would say that'd be the number one problem. You want to build a group of people that love whatever your message is, whatever you're teaching, whatever, if it's fun, whatever it is, you want to build perfect people in that group.
Exactly. And while I think that is an extremely well put point, I think one of the scariest things about having a public Facebook group is the lack of control. Because anybody can just come in there. And you may have been in a public group before, and you might have noticed this where just something totally random, totally salesy, spam, like, buy these Oakley sunglasses for $2 and there's 100 pictures there and they've tagged 99 people. That's spammers, and trolling is something similar to that. So you want to be really careful about that, because that's very easy for someone to do should you set up a Facebook group that's public.
Right. And that diminishes the quality of the group quickly. You will lose the people that you had their undivided attention, let's say, in the group. You will lose those people because they don't want to fight through the spam to find your real message. So it is possible to do it, but it's just hard to maintain. We know time is money, so trying to maintain a group like that is super hard.
Exactly.
Because, delete and block you can still do, but when there's a flood of spam, it's terrible.
Exactly. So I would almost say leave the public Facebook groups to people who have dedicated marketing teams, like celebrities or athletes or things like that. You could even get away with, a company like Coca-Cola that maybe wants a Facebook group that talks about their recipes or whatever. But what's the flip side to a public group? And we want to caution you possibly against the flip side, which would be to go totally private with your Facebook group. And a private Facebook group is, as I mentioned, the flip side of a public. You cannot see it. A member cannot search, or a potential member cannot search for the name. It will not show up anywhere in the search features. The only way to get someone in your private group is to send them an invite, or for another member to invite them. So it's really the flip side of that coin. And yes, it creates a very safe space, but there are a few drawbacks to a completely private Facebook group as well.
Right. The times that people use private, and I think I might have misspoke at the beginning of the video because it's closed that is the most used. So I might have said private. So if I did, I'm correcting myself. But the private is used a lot of times for coaching. You might you might have a small group coaching program that's a paid program, and you want to put the 10 people that signed up. You don't want people that didn't pay for your program to be inside that group. So you don't want it to be searchable. You don't want them asking to be in. Another way that people use those would be families. You don't just, if you're sharing family pictures and, your trip to Europe or whatever it is, you don't want just randoms, asking to be a member. So that's why it would be private in that case. So I was trying to think of another good use case, but really and truly, anything that you want only select people to even know about.
Exactly. It is like the most exclusive group, almost to a fault. So another example that we have for that would be if you're an employer and you want a place to communicate only with employees, and that's going to stay very small for you. And you may, if you're in network marketing, you may have a private Facebook group for your team and your downline. But now let's talk about the kind of Facebook group that we see that is in general best for most entrepreneurs who are looking to a Facebook group to create that know, like, and trust, to take cold leads into warm, loving, happy buyers. And that is in the form of a closed Facebook group. So it really, we talked about a coin, but I guess we need something that's kind of three-sided, something perfectly in the middle that straddles there is a little privacy. You do have a little control, but it's not so private that nobody can find it. And that is a closed Facebook.
Closed. The closed group. The beauty of it is that you can, ask questions with people coming in. You can set levels of, if they can post or not to the group, or if they have to be approved, let's say. And that gives you that control again, because the purpose for having the group is to create community and to be able to get your message out. And if you got all the spam on the one side, that's bad. And if you can't even be found on the other side, obviously that's bad. So this middle ground is going to be where I would say 95% of someone that's trying to build their business is going to land.
Exactly. I think those are great features. My favorite feature about a closed group, after the whole control that you're allowed as the admin of a closed group, is that Facebook will suggest your group. It's viewable, it's visible to people who aren't in your group. They can see the title and they can see the description. So that gives them a good idea so that they can actually see it and say, oh, I think I might be interested in that. And then they can request to join, which as you kind of build that membership base, Facebook will suggest your group more and more. So that's good.
And we all know how smart Facebook is. If you've ever had the conversation of, having a conversation and all of a sudden the ad shows up for that. Facebook is smart, and it is going to analyze the people that are in your group. And that's who it's going to suggest. It's going to try to match people that are already in your group to build that avatar for you and show your group to those people to try to get them to join. So Facebook's all in on groups. That's the biggest area of growth that we're seeing with Facebook besides reels, short video. They're still, when they're advertising about groups and community, they're all in. So again, that's why it's important to probably for you not have a public group, because you can't control the type, whoever it is that's in there. And if it's just anybody and everyone, then Facebook can't know who your perfect people are.
Exactly. So we have a few questions. As far as I know, you can change the privacy setting on your group. Mm-hmm. From private to closed, from closed to public, from public to private, whatever you need to fix it to where you want to go. So, Jennifer, I think, so the answer to your question is that if you do go private, you can switch it back to closed or public. There should be no problem doing that. And Sarah says, hers says private but visible and anyone can find the group. I think what that means is that anyone with a link can find that group, because if you have a private Facebook group, people aren't going to be able to search for it and find it in that fashion.
And we'll double check that. That Facebook's always changing. So
right.
So yeah. That's the only thing that's constant about Facebook is that
it may be that this other setting to that is that you can have private and it's only joinable by friends. I'm not sure about that because, like Julie said, they like to change things around a lot. But in general, a closed Facebook group is going to probably serve your purposes better for upping your membership and getting more people who are interested in your topic to join, especially Sarah, since I know your topic is one with broad appeal for moms with kids everywhere. So you definitely want people to be able to find it.
Oh, Edith said, so this may be a change. When creating a group, it only shows private or public as options now. So maybe they have.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to try that. We'll have to try that actually, and come back and comment.
Yeah.
Sarah,
Yeah, because there will be a caveat there, because there's got to be a way for you to manage the private. So they may have just wrapped closed into one of those options. But we'll be sure to update that on our blog before we finalize everything.
Right. We do have a private that we can go test and see if we can switch back to. So we have a couple of test groups. So we'll go play with those and come back and comment.
For sure. But yes, Sarah, I'm thinking yours could be closed too, or the equivalent of closed, if those have changed around a little bit. So, all right.
Yep. Heather says she just looked at it. It's only public or private. So, all right.
Awesome.
And I think there may be settings within that then let what is like for the public, like what is further settings. So that will help to bring people in.
For sure. So we'll make sure that we have the verbiage correct on it. We'll update everything before we hit publish on these little pieces of training that we like to put out. So, all right. So now let's talk about what to post this week. Anybody want to talk about that?
Yep. Man, can you believe that we're already into almost the end of March? It's so crazy to me. Time is just flying by so fast.
Exactly. Whew. Let's see. So we have.
So Jessica's going to share, I think, and we're going to. It's just I love to show the back end. So if you're new here, we put out. We have a Your Social Plan. We're just going to show you the members area because it's just easier. And you get a feel for what's in it. So we've created this MVP strategy. It helps with the algorithm. It's basically boiled down. It's, a blend of motivational content, visibility content, and promo and presence content.
Exactly. And these all come with Canva templates. So let me see if I can load more, because we shared this one last week, I think, or maybe this one. But we are getting to the end of March. I can hardly believe it. Wow. Right. So the purpose of these motivational content, no, this is not specifically about your fitness business or your coaching business or whatever it may be, but everyone can use a little breath of positivity. So these usually go across the news feeds, and people like to stop on them and read them and have a feel-good moment. And you, as the poster, get the credit for making someone's day better. So that's the purpose of the in post, is to kind of get people to slow down a little bit and just kind of, I think it helps kind of establish you as a creator instead of just a consumer on social media, which is really the first step to being viewed as a business owner, as an authority on social media. So I think I definitely believe in these posts and in what we see them do on people's news feeds and in their business. So
exactly. One of the objections, I think we'll just probably say this all the time. One of the biggest objections we get is that the content isn't always it isn't niche specific. And we would argue with anyone and everyone that all of your content shouldn't be niche specific. So these, a well-placed, motivational post every morning sets you up as more than, just a fitness instructor or skincare, whatever. Like, you are a real person that people buy from people, or do business with people. So you need to establish yourself as that, as having, not just being all business, and trying to sell your stuff.
Exactly. Love it. Okay, so the next part of our algorithm busting strategy is a visibility post. And that's where we help our YSP members get comments, because that's what we hear all the time is I don't get any engagement. No one's talking to me. And it's so frustrating. Well, a lot of times that's because you're only posting things about your niche, which means, well, just some tough love. A lot of people, and I would say almost most people, don't really care about your niche on a day-to-day basis. So what you have to do instead is come in and give them something that will engage them, so that when we get to that third type of post we're going to talk about in just a second, people are actually seeing it because they haven't just been scrolling past everything else. So there's not a ton going on this week, but yesterday was the first day of spring. So it's always a great time to ask spring-related questions, spring break-related questions. In this week is National Spinach Day. You may be thinking, why the heck would I want to post something about spinach? Well, it's one of those things that it's like lovingly divisive. People tend to have a pretty strong opinion about it one way or the other. So you would be shocked at how many people would answer this question if you asked it. Do you love it or hate it? Or what is your favorite way to eat it? Anything like that. Here we have your other questions, like I mentioned about spring. When is spring break in your area? For a lot of people, it's happening this week. Might have happened last week. So it's something that's on people's mind that they're going to answer for you. And that's all you're after. It doesn't have to be like, what's your favorite exercise? What's your favorite moisturizer? It doesn't have to be on niche. You just want people to talk to you, because that is the key to good engagement on social media. Is spring your favorite season? Why or why not? Again, these are easy questions for people to answer.
For sure. Shannon had a question. Just how do I get more likes on the motivation? So my suggestion is to take a few moments and turn it into, we give a short caption idea. We cannot fluff those up enough for you. So turn it into a little bit longer post, put a little bit of feeling into it, or how it applies to you, how it applies to your life, how it applies to someone in your life, and then end it with some type of question. And then you're sort of parlaying on the visibility as well when you end it with a question. So people feel compelled to answer those. So, but when I'm looking through my news feed, a longer format post that my friends put out that are using motivation, those are the ones that are getting more of the likes and comments. And then specifically just asking a question at the end.
Exactly. Love it. All right. So that M in the V post, that is where you are getting more engagement. It's not about your niche. It's about casting that net, as Julie loves to say a lot, and reaching more people, which is what all of us want to do, right? Is reach more people on social media. That's why we're here, to expand our audience and hopefully not have to spend a whole bunch of money on ads. And then you come in with a P post. So these are the promotion ideas for March that you're seeing on the screen here. But the P post, we actually rebranded these from promo posts to presence building posts, because the idea is for not all of them to be promotional. Because if you come out with a promotional post, even just once a day, when you're filling in with this M and V content, that's still too much selling for the way people like to interact on social media. So how do you build a presence and build recognition for your business without selling all the time? Well, you provide value. And that's what these business building P prompts, promotion and presence prompts, do for you. So you can offer your freebie. You can help them do something niche related without it being a hard sell. And, of course, we have a a prompt here for every day of the month. And that's how you close the circle in in building awareness about your business without selling constantly and keeping people from wanting to see your content.
Exactly. And there's no shortage of ideas there. Scroll through, find something that, that you think you can work with and write a post. It's really not hard when you get in the space of, of devoting just a few minutes to do it.
Exactly. And you can use the blog post ideas as social post ideas, or they can even be reel ideas or live video ideas.
Mm-hmm. So these are, again, these are going to be in not necessarily niche specific. They're just sort of a mass appeal kind of thing. So like if you look at your feed and you think about the people that you follow, let's look at the flip side. The person that's just business, niche. What happens to those posts? You typically scroll right by them. There's Most of the time that's the case, unless you're super interested in whatever they're selling. The ones that are more value driven, personable, you're going to take time to read. So, and that's how you cast your net. So and get people interested. The whole point is to get them to stay on the content, interact with the content. The more they do that, the more they'll see all of your content. You see that post all the time. I fixed my feed instead of the 25 people, blah, blah, blah. That is sort of true. That's how the algorithm sort of works, is that the people that engage are the people that see your content. So you want to get more engagement.
Exactly. Exactly. And we had several YSP wins this week, but the biggest one was for our developers. Drum roll, please. We have a new feature for all of our dashboard members.
And it is carousel posts. You can schedule now. Before you could schedule them, but you only got a notification. Now we can direct schedule, direct post carousel posts. Which a carousel post, for anyone that's here that doesn't know, is just a multi-image post on Instagram. We already could do it on Facebook, but now it's available for Instagram as well. And that is a huge thing. Anything that we don't have to have notifications for is a big deal. So
exactly.
Set it and forget it.
So that's our YSP win.
Yeah.
It's about us. Sorry. We work hard too.
Yep, for sure. All right. So anyone here have a YSP win? Anybody here have any huge promos? Anything going on this week? Trying to see who else is live.
Oh yeah, we still have our Lucky You It's Done For You sale. So make sure that if you haven't, you check out the Socially Inclined store, sociallyinclined.com/store, because there are still some major discounts on our content bundles in there, as well as some new things. And we did a contest. Is Mary Alice here? I don't know. Mondays might be hard for her, but we did a contest and Mary Alice won our newest product, which is 365 engaging questions to ask your Facebook group.
Exactly.
Or your feed or your news feed.
They can be used anywhere, but people have a hard time engaging the group. So that's what they are. And again, it's visibility posts, getting engagement, and that will help to keep your group healthy and people coming back. So
for sure.
Exactly. And, there is an upsell. You can get the images with it, but the text posts with the colored backgrounds, those do super well in groups and on your page. So
exactly.
$17.
Awesome. Well, this has been Marketing Monday. We hope everyone has had a great weekend. Obviously, Julie and I both had great weekends. We are getting here, coming to work.
That's all right. We are tired, if you can't tell. I had multi-events this weekend, so I had to come back to work to rest.
Yeah, Julie's like a socialite celebrity. I just have a 2-year-old, so That's our difference. Edith wants to know, would you suggest using those in your group daily? Yes, a daily engaging question can go a long way, especially when you don't have a whole lot of time to pull together other things like that.
And Heather says, and Sarah agrees, that she's getting a lot more engagement on Instagram, but zip on Facebook. So you're going to have to sort of use a re-engagement type thing, like spend a little bit of time trying to craft some posts that will ask for the engagement. Last week, we showcased a sort of a gamification thing. That's what Mary Alice, no, wait, is that what she, yeah, that's what she won.
Yeah,
sorry, it's been a week. But try to come up with some creative. We do have some more ideas coming. Maybe we'll share one next Monday. But you want to really try to ask the question, you know, be off niche if you're trying to rebuild your Facebook. So,
gotcha.
Oh, Heather says her accounts are linked. Gotcha. Okay, so where you're posting on Instagram and it's posting back to Facebook for you. So I think is what she means, or I guess it could be vice versa. And I wonder, I mean, that can affect the algorithm too, whether you're natively posting to both of them. You know, if you've got all your hashtags in the Instagram post and it's posting on Facebook, that's a turnoff for some people. That's a feature that's coming soon too, is for hashtag, or well, not for just hashtags, but first comment in Instagram. That's something that we're actively working on, and that will help to hide those hashtags. So that will help with Facebook. Goodness. Deanne says, I enrolled a new client who found me on an SI live training. Isn't that awesome? She's a perfect client, and I'm jazzed to work with her. It pays to show up and be seen, y'all. And that's true. We've talked about, we in TAT, we had a whole workshop or masterclass on working in other people's groups, providing value, showing up and being seen. You're naturally attracting people to you. So that is what Deanne has done here. So that is her win. So, and she is super active in our group, and we are super appreciative of that. And everyone else that's here. The more you chime in, the more you're seen, the easier it gets to interact on social.
Exactly.
All right.
All right. Content class tomorrow.
That's right.
Or every Tuesday, if you're watching this on a replay. Content class every Tuesday. And we're looking forward to it. But we hope everyone has a wonderful Monday. Watch for the blog to post later today about Facebook group types. We'll make sure we clarify any questions before we hit publish on that thing.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for joining us. Y'all have a great Monday.
Thank you, everyone.